I liked making websites and I liked coaching. I liked hockey, and I would just search for this and search for that, and I couldn't really find anything, and I just kind of like, you know what, I should make a hockey website because I love.
Hey everyone, Brandon here from the Hockey Players Club. This week I had the privilege of sitting down with Jeremy of How To Hockey, the OG of online hockey tutorials and one of hockey's biggest social media influencers. We discussed what it's like growing up in a small Canadian town, what he misses from the NHL of his childhood, why he started How To Hockey, and what needs to change to make hockey more accessible, plus a lot more. Please like and comment below, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the Hockey Players Club app.
Thanks for taking the time to be here, Jeremy. Do really appreciate it. I know the hockey community knows you mostly for coaching, all the great content you produce, but I'd like to start with you growing up in Huntsville, Ontario. What was it like growing up a couple hours outside of Toronto, and how'd you get started into hockey?
Yeah, so I grew up in Beaverton, Ontario. Sorry, I should have mentioned that earlier. But I did move to Huntsville, so I spent a good deal of my adult life there. But in Beaverton, it was a small farm town. Not much going on. Hockey was the most exciting thing to do for sure. I was lucky enough to be on a farm. My parents bought it when nobody wanted a farm. It was hard work and nobody really wanted to do it then. So they got a deal. But it was a great spot for me to grow up because I had a lot of space to run around, and there was a pond there, and that's pretty much where I learned how to play hockey, was on the pond. So there's a lot of great memories from that. Didn't get to spend my whole life there because my parents split, so there was some back and forth, and there was some tough times that we went through. But I think that whole small town, like all the rinks were about 20 minutes away, and you play in a small town, and then you drive to another small town and play that small town, and then you go to high school with those kids that you ended up having rivalries with. I just really like that vibe. Now I'm in Aurelia, and I was coaching, and we're driving like an hour and a half to find a center big enough to play against, and it doesn't have the same feel. I really did like just visiting the towns that only have like a post office, a bank, and a hockey rink.
Yeah,
I really did enjoy that.
That's awesome. So I imagine, though, I'm not familiar. I know where Huntsville is, but I didn't know where Beaverton is. But I imagine you're a Leafs fan then. Yes.
So Beaverton is maybe an hour and a half outside the city as well. So it's just on the other side of Lake Simcoe. It's a pretty small town there.
Okay, I've actually been to Lake Simcoe. Awesome up there.
Yeah. So you wouldn't ever go to Beaverton really unless you're going to play hockey or you're driving past it to go somewhere else. Although we have pretty good ice fishing there. That's the one claim, is they have ice fishing. But yeah, I grew up as a Leafs fan. My parents were not like huge into hockey, but as I got a bit older, pretty much everyone that I played hockey with was a Leafs fan as well. So I watched a lot of great games going over to friends' places and with family sometimes.
I'm sure. Who were some of the favorite players growing up?
Surprisingly, I didn't really have, like, my dad was not huge into watching hockey, like playing hockey, but we didn't watch a lot of the CBC stuff. So I didn't really have a favorite player until I was maybe 9 or 10. And that's when I started watching Rock'em Sock'em videos, documentary. And someone who really stood out to me in that video was Pavel Bure, just an explosive goal scorer. So around that time, I had that, like, all my friends had favorite players, and I kind of needed to pick one. I needed to have one. And I picked Pavel Bure, and I stuck with it for the rest of my life. Still love the way the guy plays, or played.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. He's actually my favorite non-Penguin. I was just looking at a video today of him scoring 5 goals in the Nagano Olympics. That guy was, the speed he had was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Very McDavid-like in terms of the way he can like separate himself.
Yes, exactly. He had that, lateral movement that wasn't really popular in the NHL at that time. A lot of people skated north and south, or could, do those big J hooks. Like Gretzky would kind of skate and then carve back and then, try again. But Bure had that explosiveness to left and right and that deception that a lot of guys didn't have then. And I was fortunate enough to see a game in Florida. It was like $5 to go and watch, in the Leafs were playing during a March break that I spent there. And I wanted the Leafs to win, but I also wanted Bure to get a hat trick. And he got 1, 2, 3 goals, I think a natural hat trick, and the Leafs came back and won 5-3. So it was pretty monumental game to witness.
Right, that's unbelievable. Hopefully you went and got a lottery ticket after that. You getting your wish right there.
I think it was 50. So no.
I hear you. Excuse me. I mean, no doubt the NHL has undoubtedly changed a lot since we were growing up watching it. You know, it's a lot more physical. Certainly fighting was more prevalent.
Yeah.
Did you prefer, is there any nostalgia you have for the game of, say, the 90s compared to now, or do you prefer today's game?
For sure, there's something that I really wish didn't happen in today's game. I loved seeing a big hit. And back when I was watching when I was younger, big hit, a guy would just get labeled, just flattened. And the play would go on, and he would, put his teeth back in his mouth and then go to the bench, line change. We're all good. Now, if anyone even breezes by someone, everyone's got to drop the gloves and have a whole Donnybrook. It's really annoying. When it's a nice clean hit, just let the people play. But it doesn't matter. If someone gets laid out and it's a nice clean hit, but it's hard and it really wrecks the guy, everyone's got to drop the gloves and mess with the guy. So I wish that didn't happen anymore.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It's really frustrating, like you said, especially if it's clean. I mean, it used to be like when we were growing up, if your head was down and someone,
exactly.
Laid you out, it just was what it was, and you got up and you had to play through it. And I mean, coaches always said, just remember the number, try and get him with a clean hit later kind of thing. Now I feel like you said, the moment there's a big hit, the gloves are coming off. That said, I mean, I imagine you do like the skill of today's game as well, the skill and speed.
Yes, I love all aspects of the game, anything that can be done well. So it's like the big hits, like the ones where someone, cuts to center and has their head down. Like, oh, look out, that doesn't happen anymore. If somebody, tries to knock him out or to knock him over, I'm like, oh, great, now there's going to be a fight.
Right.
Or the play is going to stop because, a bit of a scrum in front of the net. But I do really enjoy the skill of today's game. It's exciting. It's a lot. There's a lot more creativity and a lot more moves now than there used to be.
Right. I couldn't agree with you more. I did want to ask, switching gears a little bit now from NHL action to the stuff, the great content that you create. It's kind of crazy to think that it's been 10 years now that you've created How To Hockey. And I know you've mentioned in the past that you basically were looking for content online that you couldn't find, and that's how this kind of came to fruition. Do you remember what you were specifically looking for when that light bulb kind of went off?
No, it was more like I liked making websites and I liked coaching. I liked hockey, and I would just search for this and search for that, and I couldn't really find anything. And I just kind of like, what, I should make a hockey website because I love hockey so much, and I haven't seen anything substantial, anyone who's kind of really doing this besides some sites that might just disappear in a few years, or like one article on a website about something else. So I did some sleuthing, looked around, and I was like, well, no one else is doing it. I'm going to start something up. And who knows, like, it'll probably just be like 10 pages, how to shoot, skate, stick handle, whatever. And then I'll let it sit there. So if anyone's looking, they can, learn how to improve their skills. And I just grew from there because people kept asking me to make more videos. So I kept doing it. That's
awesome. I was going to say, you didn't really have any maybe like specific goals with it outside of maybe those first handful of videos?
Yeah, basically it was supposed to be a site just to get started, so that if somebody didn't know what to do, how to get started, then there'd be something for all the basics. So every basic skill covered, where someone's like, hey, I want to play hockey. Oh, I don't have a coach. Like, what do I do? Google search it, find my site. Oh, this is at least going to get me started. I'm going to practice this, then I'll join a team, and from there I'm good. So yeah, it's kind of just to give people a head start in hockey.
I love it. And did you kind of just organically come up with new topics, like hearing from your audience, or how did that kind of emerge over time?
Yeah, a lot of it was just from, like, I do a video on how to take a wrist shot, and then somebody would like mention, oh, what about this? Or, hey, like, I've tried this. Have you tried this? And then, or, what about this goal that so-and-so got in the NHL? And then it would just, like, my natural curiosity just led to, oh, I could do a video on that. And so, it was like, or it's like how to hockey stop. What about, I'm struggling with crossovers. Okay, well, that'll be the next video we make. So a lot of it was just based on either what the I guess hardest things to do in hockey, or the most common things that people would learn. Kind of use that as an idea, or just based off the comments from the videos I was making.
That's great. And over the years, you've amassed really a wide array library of content. I mean, not just how-to videos. I mean, product reviews, some factory visits,
Yeah.
just general tips, outdoor hockey, and even attending events like the NHL awards. Any of these, any videos or maybe highlights to you from over this like 10-year journey?
Yeah, highlight for me, one that I really love is the hockey cave, where we did a road trip to find
Yeah.
a frozen cave, basically to skate inside. Just because going inside of it, I didn't know where it was. I didn't know if we were allowed to go through. I was risking, a straight, basically 6-hour road trip to get there and not find the place, or it was closed or something. Like it was really. We knew the general area to go to, but after that, we had to figure it out on our own. So it was a nice adventure, and the payoff was definitely like seeing the video is one thing, but actually being there and looking around, it's like you're stepping inside this cathedral that's completely empty and just like was built for you to come and skate in. So that was a great event. And now they've actually put up massive barriers and like fenced it all off so nobody can get in anymore. So I'm glad that we went and did that one, because now we wouldn't be able to do it if we waited.
Yeah, I actually specifically remember when you dropped that one, watching it. That it just looked epic in there.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So that's one really stands out. But there's a lot that I've done that I'm really fond of. But yeah, that could be a whole podcast if I could talk about all my favorite videos.
I'm sure. Is there any particular genre or like category of content you like doing, maybe compared to others? Whether it's the how-tos or I'm sorry.
Yeah, my favorite ones are the training videos where I just know it's going to help people. So one of them that I did was seeing the net through the eyes of the puck. And that's one where it's like you don't even have to practice it. Just by watching that video and getting an understanding that the puck sees the net differently than you do can really help somebody a lot. So
yeah,
it's videos that would make the biggest impact in a hockey player's lives. Those are the ones that I like to do the most.
That's great. And I know this past year you started including your son, Mason.
Yeah.
You mic'd him up at one of his practices with that video going viral, picked up by all kinds of news outlets. First question, were you able to hear any of that microphone footage live, or is that all, it was all post-practice, you had it all at once?
Yeah, so basically, I might have the microphone. Oh, no, I put it away. But it's this little pack that you just I clipped inside of his equipment, and then it records into this onto a micro SD card.
Okay.
So it's basically all the audio is recorded, and then so I hit record on the pack, and then I hit record on my camera, just let it run through, and then afterwards I just dragged the audio onto the timeline for the video, matched it up, and then I just had to watch the whole thing front to back. And whenever I saw something or heard something, I would flag it. But it was nice for sure, because I thought that I would just hear him talking to coaches or talking to his friends, and I thought yeah, it'd be kind of cute to hear what he's saying out there. But yeah, he just talked to himself so much that I'm like, wow, this and to hear that he was actually trying and caring, because we would say, hey, use both feet, and he would always just only push with one foot.
Right.
And we just thought he wasn't listening to us. But then listening to that, I heard him go 1, 2, 1, 2. That I'm like, oh, he's actually trying. And when he did it for only 2 seconds, he's like, I did it. To me, it looked like he didn't really he did it maybe for a few seconds and then went back to the 1 foot push. But to him, that was a huge accomplishment. So it was a nice insight into how a 4-year-old thinks, and it was quite a surprise.
I'm sure. Now, when you were editing, were you pretty confident that this was going to be a huge hit, given the fact, obviously at this point you already had an audience?
Yeah, I thought it would be popular among hockey players, but I didn't think that it was going to be a global sensation.
Right. It was on USA Today.
Yeah, it was I got interviewed by a ton of newspapers like Washington Post and New York Times, and I think People magazine, and I don't know, all these crazy, I could go on. But it was on the front page of some massive Swedish newspaper or something, the biggest publication in Sweden. And yeah, people were sending me stuff from all over, oh, I saw it in Japan, and it was pretty funny.
That's amazing. Any new content or projects we should be keeping an eye out for?
Yeah, to be honest, I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm always just, I have an idea and I try it, and if it works, I'm like, sweet, let's do some more of that. And if it doesn't, I try to tweak it a bit. And especially with this whole pandemic, I feel I have a pretty good idea of what will do well and the type of videos I want to make. I love making the training videos. But when the pandemic hit, I'm like, hey, let's do live streams every single day. Is a million people going to watch that, or is 5 people going to watch it? I don't know, but I'm just doing it because I think that it's the right thing to do and it'll help hockey players. So we did every daily live streams for a bit. They were good, but I am trying to find the right balance, because I always also like making the other videos. So making the live streams every day, I thought I was just like, yeah, fire up the live stream, do it, and then get back to work. But it was kind of taking the whole day to get them done. So then I've switched to just once a week for the live streams, and trying to find the right type of content to make in a pandemic. Obviously, I'm not going to be posting stuff about being on the ice, because no one is really on the ice, right? So I'm trying to think, okay, well, how can I help hockey players in this situation? So we recently did a review of off-ice pucks. I had like 10 or 15 different off-ice pucks. Did that one. Coming up, I'm working on a training website where it's
Nice.
it's a really easy way to kind of see where you're at and see the next skill that you should learn. So it's not just like a dump of drills, or here's 600 videos, have fun, good luck. The whole idea is to be able to easily identify where you are on a skill ladder, and then find the next step that you should be working on. So it's not like someone with like 1 year experience is trying something that's pretty elite, that they actually need to learn 10 things before they should be practicing that.
Right.
It's sequential order of what to practice and when to move on to the next one. So that's something I've been working on for a while, but I'm excited to. Yeah.
Any kind of rough ETA that you could give us, or like, no, not yet?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be done last year, and it's been a year, and I'm still not as close as I hoped I would be. But yeah, I'd say I'd like to get it done before the new hockey season starts, or at least do a soft launch like midsummer, where it's not a complete site. I don't have all the content, but like the skills ladder is there with like some challenges and a little bit like something for the most beginner players, and then continue to build on it.
Very cool. We have to let us know when that's live for sure. We'll have to give it a look. Like I said, now you've been doing this for 10 years, creating great content and even just an engaged community. What advice would you give your younger self when you were just starting out down this journey?
Well, I don't know, man. That's a good question. To be honest, I mean, I think that I've always had sort of like a North Star or a compass where I always look to that as to make my decisions. And it was pretty much, don't focus on making money, just focus on helping people and creating something of value. And that's always been my goal, I guess you would say. And it seemed to have steered me well so far. And, I try to always continue to follow that. Whenever there's an opportunity, maybe it's like a sponsored post or something like that, I always try to think like, how can I like make this to at least be entertaining or motivational or inspirational. And if I can't do any of those, I typically won't take the offer as far as making money. And then for like the type of content I create, it's got to be entertaining, motivational or inspirational, or educational. I don't know. I don't think I have any like wise wisdom for my prior self. I'm pretty happy with how things went and the way I went about them. I don't think I made any big mistakes that I'd try to avoid. Sorry, no good answer there.
That's all good. Makes sense. I mean, there's no doubt that just with what you're doing, and I know we're in a similar mission of just trying to grow the game of hockey in general. In your opinion, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that like the game just faces right now to grow it and make it more accessible?
Easily the cost and the lack of access to ice. Hockey is just better on ice. You can't. People have said, oh, maybe it'll be played on synthetic ice in like years to come, or maybe it'll be played like roller hockey, but it's just not the same. Ice has a different, like, that's what makes the game unique. It's something. I don't think it'd be replicated. So the cost to play, I wish that could get reduced somehow, and the only way I foresee that happening is if the entire energy sector changes and electricity becomes cheap. So, if maybe in 100 years we have a 100% renewable energy planet where everything is, wind, solar, geothermal, and electricity is super cheap, then hockey will be a lot more. because you won't have to pay, 500 bucks to rent the ice for an hour. But,
Right.
Yeah.
We've talked about that a lot too. And I would love if, maybe someone's doing it out there right now. I'm not familiar, but trying to use some battery systems too, to possibly store some of that electricity. I don't know if you're familiar, but if you get it off at certain hours, it's gonna be a lot cheaper than like the peak hours when these rinks are either trying to keep it cold in there or, keep it a little bearable if it's super cold up north. But yeah, no doubt about it. The cost of the game has just gotten really excessive, and something that we try and brainstorm all the time. How can we maybe try and help that? Last question before we get to some quick hits. So we know, your life is, from the outsider's perspective, pretty much 24/7 hockey. If you weren't if you weren't a hockey content creator and coach, what do you think you'd be doing?
I do like business. I like the business side of things. So I think I would be, I'm an entrepreneur in some way. I've always been that way throughout my entire life. I mean, when I was, I think in grade, 4 or 5, I went to Costco with my dad, and I saw the Hubba Bubba gum that I would pay 5 cents for at the hockey rink snack bar. It was like, $5 for
the big bag
or something. And I was like, oh, I could sell those at school. So I bought them. I got my dad to buy them for me. I took them to school. I sold them for 10 cents a piece, and then 25 cents a piece. And then kids were like, after a few days of being in business, kids were knocking on my door in class and trying to buy them off me. And then my business got canceled from selling gum at the school. But I always did like stuff like that. I was always starting up little businesses when I was in public school and high school, and even in college. I was always thinking that way, and so was my brother. So I have no idea what I would be doing, but I'm sure it would be something interesting or different.
Yeah, I have no doubt. All right. Before I let you go, we always like to end the interview with just what we like to call some quick hits. So 5 questions. Kind of want maybe the last question might require a little bit of thought, but other than that, kind of want your first gut instinct on these ones.
Okay. Yep.
All right. All right. First one, favorite Mighty Ducks movie.
Oh my God, I feel bad. I have not watched since I was a kid, so I'll say the one where they play against Iceland.
Okay, number 2. Would you rather play 3 years in the NHL and win 3 cups, or play 20 years and win 0?
Ooh. Say 3 years and 3 cups. Like the experience is what you're there for. So pack it in.
Right, I'm with you on that. All right, if you were the GM of a new NHL expansion franchise and you had the opportunity to draft either Elias Pettersson or Cale Makar, who would you pick?
That's tough.
I know.
That's tough. I know. Maybe I have to say Makar.
All right. Would you rather have McDavid's speed or Ovi's shot?
I take McDavid's speed.
All right. Last one. If you could make a video with any NHL player, past or present, who would it be, and what kind of video would you want to make?
There's a lot that I'd like to go into, but I think I'd go with Nicholas Lidstrom, just because he seemed like such a unique talent and so like smart. He seems like he would share the most. Like some players are like, oh yeah, you just go like this or you just do that. But I think if I was with Lidstrom, like he would actually break down the game at like a educational level. Like
leave that conversation with a PhD in hockey, I'm sure.
Exactly, right. So I do defense videos because it's kind of where I lack. In something I could really complement the other videos that I have.
That's a great answer. That wasn't even on my radar, but that's a really good answer. Jeremy, hopefully we can do this again sometime. Thank you for your time and all the great work you do. And yeah, like I said, hopefully we can do it again. Please let us know where our listeners can find your content.
Yeah. So just search up How To Hockey. I got the website, howtohockey.com. On YouTube, I've got 2 channels. So How To Hockey and Coach Jeremy. Trying to be active on both. On Instagram, it's at How To Hockey. Also TikTok, because that's new. It's Coach Jeremy HTH. Some kids had registered at How to Hockey and at Coach Jeremy, so I did at Coach Jeremy HTH. I believe that is it. And yeah, Twitter is How to Hockey as well.
Perfect. Thanks again, Jeremy. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on the show.